Hey guys, today I have, I think, the biggest book haul I have ever done by myself. First biggest solo book haul. I have 12 books here. The reason is because my local library had a book sale. I've had some gifts from Penguin, stuff like that. So, lots of love for the books this time. Of the 12, there is one book that has been highly anticipated, at least for me, and that is Robert Galbraith's new novel, Career of Evil, actually by J.K. Rowling, in case you weren't aware. This is the third book in the Cormoran Strike series, and massive, by the way, massive. And in this one, Robin and Cormoran get sent a severed body part. And they have to kind of work backwards and figure out, of the foes that they have made, who would have committed a crime bad enough to send a severed leg. I really love The Cuckoo's Calling. I enjoyed The Silkworm. I have high hopes for this one. I'm thinking it'll probably be my next read, but that remains to be seen. We shall see. The next 5 books were all sent to me as requests from Penguin. The first 2, I actually got the first one because the second one just came out and I hadn't read the first one yet. Every once in a while, I enjoy a contemporary romance, and so the first book that I received is My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick. So there's this girl, Samantha Reed, and then there's this boy next door, of course, and his crazy family, and their lives are so different, but yet they manage to fall in love, and sort of the trials and tribulations, it sounds like at least, of what happens to them, what happens to Samantha's family, how that affects their relationship. This is actually one of the contemporary romances that has a fairly high rating on Goodreads, so I feel like it's one that's actually, it's worth my time. It's worth my time to try and read. And assuming I do enjoy this one, I have the second novel. It's a companion novel, so it doesn't have the exact same characters in it. This is The Boy Most Likely To. It follows Tim, who is a character in the first novel, and then his love interest, Alice. So this one is about their story, and I think some of the things that you learn about Tim in the first novel come back and affect what happens in the second novel. Once again, heard good things about this one. I think the general consensus is that the first one is better, but you never know. The next 3 I have that I asked for from Penguin were the first 3 novels in the Falling Kingdoms series. So the first one is Falling Kingdoms. These are by Morgan Rhodes. This is a YA fantasy. Even just reading the description, reading the back of the book, it sends me back to my time in middle school when I used to read a ton of fantasy, like all the time. I love fantasy. I don't read it as much because it usually takes a lot of time to, you know, learn the world and really understand the magic system and everything like that, assuming they're quality fantasy. These ones, once again, I've heard pretty good things about. There are 4 individuals that we follow that live in this land of Mythica, and in some places the kingdom is collapsing. In other places, the people who have always been at the bottom of everything are finally rising to the top, so there's a lot of unrest, and I know that magic plays a part. Witches are persecuted. I feel like there's a lot going on here, which could be really good because it means that the world is really detailed, and I've heard a lot about them beforehand, so that's also a good sign. People are talking about it, enjoying it. So Fallen Kingdoms is the first book. The second book is Rebel Spring. And the third book that I was able to receive is Gathering Darkness. And I believe the 4th novel of this is coming out shortly. What's great about these is that even though I have one hardcover, all of the spines match. Beautiful. The last 6 that I have are the 6 that I picked up at the local library sale. I spent a total of $15 on these books, so I'm feeling quite good about myself. The first one is actually an anthology of travel stories. It's called Women Travel. It's put together by Rough Guides. There are a bunch of editions of it. The one I happened to find was published in 1999, but it is a ton of stories, first-hand stories of women traveling to countries all over the world. And it's split up by country in alphabetical order, and just short stories about cool things, interesting things that these women have done and experienced in these different countries. And I have crazy wanderlust a lot of the time, so I feel like this will be perfect for me. Even just looking at it at the library sale, I was going through and thinking, oh my god, I'd love to read that story. That story sounds so interesting. Oh, that'd be so cool. And then once you finish the story, at the end they have recommendations if you want to read more books about, like the first story is about Afghanistan. So if you want to read more books about Afghanistan, here's some recommendations. So this will be great. It'll probably add to my TBR list a lot, but it'll just be, oh, it'll be so much fun to read all of these awesome stories about these women doing great things or cool things in different countries all over the world. The next one is Faceless Killers by Henning Mankell. I've had this book on my radar for a long time. After I read Stieg Larsson's Millennium Trilogy, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, etc., etc., I was told that if you enjoy those, this is a good one to try reading. It also takes place in Sweden, Swedish author, and it's a murder mystery kind of thing. It's about Kurt Wallander, and in this one, a man is killed and his wife is left to die. Her last word is foreigner. What's interesting is that the police are looking for a foreigner, and it mentions it at the bottom of the description that the police are on the hunt for a foreigner in a land where anti-immigration is already a hot topic, and it's just so interesting right now considering this book was not published recently. And yet there's so much happening with all of the refugees that are pouring into Europe right now and who's taking how many in, that sort of thing. So this will not only include those darker, creepier mystery thriller elements, but it's still politically relevant, which I think is very cool. Third book that I picked up from the library sale is Special Topics in Calamity Physics by Marisha Pessl. Now some of you are probably sitting there thinking, wait, I know the name Marisha Pessl, and you'd be right. She wrote Night Film, which was a book that got a ton of buzz last year and is still getting a fair amount of buzz now. I read it last December, and I decided to pick up this one because I enjoyed Night Film a lot. It was one of the favorite books that I read last year. This one is totally different topic. It's about a girl, her name is Blue, I believe. Yes, Blue, who goes to this boarding school and falls in with this certain group of friends, and then all these interesting things start happening. Somebody drowns. I feel like it's going to be kind of creepy, maybe just like Night Film, but what's interesting about this one is the way the chapters are set up. They're, all of the chapter names are books. So, like, chapter number 11 is Moby Dick. Chapter 12 is A Movable Feast. Chapter 22 is Heart of Darkness. So I feel like this will be an interesting adventure, maybe a little weird considering what I know from Night Film, but I don't know what to think, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. If you guys have read this book, let me know what you thought, because I'd be interested to hear opinions. I haven't really heard too much about it. I always hear about Night Film, but never about this one. This one is First They Killed My Father by Luong Ung. This is about the Khmer Rouge taking over in Cambodia and all of the horrible, horrible things that they did. I am aware of some of the atrocities that were committed by the Khmer Rouge, but I am not up on all of the details. And I've seen this book around. I know some people in high school were required to read it. I never had to read it. I think I will learn a lot. I will be horrified, but it's something that I really should know more about, and this is the perfect place to start. The woman who wrote this book, it's about her experience, and they killed her father and she became a child soldier. A lot of bad things happened to her, and obviously she was able to make it out, so there's going to be some harsh realities represented here, but I think it's an important book to read. Second to last is Room by Emma Donoghue. This is a book that has been out for quite some time now, but it's still really popular. I feel like every year somebody else discovers it and sort of shares it with their friends. I actually attempted to read this book at one point, but it is told from a child's perspective. It's about him and his mother and this mysterious man who keeps them in a room, and this child was born in this room, grew up in this room, so he has no real idea of what the outside world is like, and his mother knows because she was obviously kidnapped and is being kept in this room, but the boy doesn't really understand that because he's so young. The book is told in the voice of a 5-year-old, so there's that certain dialect to it, and I have a lot of trouble reading dialect. It really bothers me sometimes, so I started reading this at one point and then wasn't feeling it, and then now I know that there's a movie coming out, and I believe Brie Larson is playing the mother, and I love Brie Larson. I think she's a great actress. So I will want to watch the movie, and therefore I think it's time that I try and read the book again. The edition that I managed to grab at the library book sale is a really floppy edition, so I don't know, I really like the floppy books. I'm all about the floppy books, so I don't know. It makes me more excited to read it knowing that it's this really great edition. Like, I'm ready to give it another try. The last book in my lovely book haul is California by Eden Lepucki. This is a gorgeous cover. Like, I love this cover so much. The spine is very noticeable, so at the book sale I actually, every book is propped up with their spines facing upwards so they can fit a ton of books on a table. I saw this and I was like, oh, I know that book, and so I pulled it out, and oh, I just love this cover. It's just, oh, it's so pretty. Look at that. So this is actually an adult dystopian novel that takes place in California. There's a couple, they're living together outside of Los Angeles because Los Angeles has actually crumbled, and they're surviving all right on their own until the woman finds out that she's pregnant, and she doesn't think that she'll be able to be healthy, have this baby, raise this baby without the help of a larger community. Now, so her and the guy that she's with, I'm not sure if they're married or not, but they decide that they're going to try and find another community that they can hopefully become a part of, and the community that they fall upon or know is closest by is a little sketchy. There's some dark secrets, but at the same time, the couple are desperate for help. They need somebody to help them. With all of these dark secrets floating around, mistrust, the couple, they have to decide who they're going to trust so they can raise this baby and survive. So I think it'll be a very dark read, but an intriguing one. May I also mention that this book looks brand new. I don't think anyone's actually read it, and the sticker is still on the back. $29 Canadian. I paid $3 for it. That, my friends, is everything. If there's any questions or comments about the books that I just talked about, let me know in the comments below. As always, all of our links are in the doobly-doo. You can check those out if you feel so inclined. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you later.